Councillors, CEO, directors, ladies and gentlemen. The wonderful place that we call home has seen a human occupation dating back about 60,000 years. And in our valley, that's the Yuwi people. So whenever we gather together as a community and as a council, it's important that we acknowledge the traditional custodianship of this wonderful place we call home and pay our respects to Indigenous elders past, present and those emerging. So this council meeting, as you know, is being streamed live. Welcome to our online audience. Welcome to our members of the public gallery. I draw your attention to the top right-hand corner of the screen there that advises not only it's being streamed live, but the audio and visual is being recorded and will be there for posterity. And also to remind you that anything you say in a council meeting, public participation, just be aware of the fact that we're required to tell you that you may be subject to legal action if your actions or comments are deemed inappropriate or unacceptable. So thank you very much, and the Reverend Dr. Julia Pittman is here. I'll declare the meeting open. At least look at this end this time, Julia. So I normally go for the opening prayers from heaven. So welcome. Will you lead us in prayer?
Christianity is the world's largest religion, numbering 1/3 of the world's population, and today all around the world we celebrate Ash Wednesday. The text for today from the Old Testament is about the relationship between prayer and action, and it can be confronting. Isaiah 58 verse 6-9 says, "Is not this the fast that I choose? To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and to bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, here I am." Let us join together in prayer. Lord of our life and God of our salvation, guide this meeting of Mackay Regional Council and all those who direct its business, councillors, staff, residents and visitors to our region. Bless by the power of your Holy Spirit the work of a new calendar year. We give thanks for the deliverance of the people through the recent floods and the work of disaster recovery. Open the hearts of your people to be conscious of community need and swift to respond with concrete acts of love. We give thanks for the role of Mackay Regional Council in creating community and in helping people to make new connections. We give thanks for the Sports Expo, for the launch of new businesses, for the launch of new developments, and for the encouragement to a new generation of young leaders to play their part in future regional councils. We pray for each member of council, for staff and community partners, for accurate assessment of social and economic challenges, and for responses that are marked by fresh ideas, new collaborations, the best research, and stamina and endurance to carry out solutions. We pray for all the people of the Mackay region. Especially today, we pray for those who find access to a home difficult. We pray that our community will be like Mary, the Mother of Christ, who, when facing the birth of the Christ child, and who, when told that there was no room at the inn, was resilient, determined, and adaptable in finding a place to stay in a stable among animals. We pray too that our community will be like the wise men who followed a star and were generous in opening their treasure chests in worship of the Christ child. May our community find from within their own resources the will, the kindness and the vulnerability to reach out to those who are in need. As Isaiah encouraged the people to bring the homeless poor into your house, for we know that it is more blessed to give than to receive. May your Holy Spirit so work amongst us that our Mackay Regional Council may be renewed in truth, beauty and order, and in happiness and peace for all, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Julia. So, attendance today, there's nobody absent on council business. Councillor Bonaventura, the flight must have been early, which is very good. We have leave of absence for Councillor Seymour. Councillor Bella is joining us via Teams audio only. Councillor Bella, can you hear us?
Good morning, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Bella, in terms of recognition of your voting, I'll be asking how you are voting, either for or against, at every vote that we take. So just because we can't see you, and if you want to intervene, just say your name and we'll throw to you when we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've dealt with the apologies. Leave of absence, I've been invited by the Premier to attend her, to represent the Council on the the Olympic Games Legacy Forum, which unfortunately happens on the 22nd of March. So I think I should go because the invitation is from the Premier, so that's why the leave of absence is in there for me for the 22nd of March. So I'd like to move. Councillor Mann moves, Councillor May seconds. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's... Oh, sorry, Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Okay, the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Condolences. Councillors, with your leave, I'd like to offer the Council's condolence to John Martin. Now, some of you may remember John Martin. John joined Mackay City Council in 1974 as a sewage engineer, and he stayed with council until 1998. He unfortunately passed away on the weekend. He had a debilitating disease for a lot of years, the last years of his life. So John was a sewage engineer here, and in the 90s he became the city engineer and the director of works then eventually in the Amalgamated Council. He's a great sportsman, John. He played actually for the Blues, for cricket for the Blues in New South Wales. Before that he was a member of St George Cricket Club. First class player, he took 365 first class wickets for St George, so he's a pretty good star cricket player. He played for Easts here in Mackay. He then became the president of Mackay Cricket. He was also into squash and golf in the later years of his life, and then he took up contract bridge. So he was a great guy, and it's really sad to mark his passing on the weekend. So to Nancy and his 3 sons and their extended family, on your behalf, we'd like the council to extend our sincere condolences. Are there other condolences? No other condolences? Thank you. Conflicts of interest to declare today? No conflicts. Confirmation of the minutes, 7.1, the minutes of the meeting of the 8th of February, they've been circulated. Somebody like to move that they be signed as adopted. Councillor Green moves, Councillor Hassan seconds. Those in favour? Any against? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Motion's carried unanimously. The business arising out of the minutes is included in a single page on the agenda. I think we've dealt with most of those. Let's move on to correspondence and officers' report. The Office of the Mayor and CEO, the operational plan for the second quarter. CEO.
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly on this, you'll note that there's 33 on target with 6 ahead and 5 below. The commentary in there just talks around some of the metrics that are in there are measured annually and can't be done incrementally due to the nature of what the metric is, but other than that, tracking well.
Okay, questions? No questions? The operational plan for 2022-2023 and the second quarterly report, somebody like to move its adoption. Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. I probably just want to repeat the sentiments of the CEO. I noted page 66 that the Implement Invest Mackay events and conference attraction was certainly above target. Page 70, disaster awareness was above target. Page 72, Parks and Environment Waste Services was above target. And page 74, procurement and plant was above target. So we do have some great staff who really do strive hard for our community. And CEO, if you could pass on my thanks, that would be great. Thank you.
Is the speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.1.2, the Councillor Conference report for the SEGRA Conference. Councillor Hassan, Councillor England, and Councillor Seymour. Does anybody got any questions about this one? No questions? Would somebody like to move its adoption? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. I must say, very thorough report. The 2 items that probably were take-homes for me out of it, and I was really glad to read about. One was about, on page 91, reading about the Wukalina Walk and its importance to country. But also on page 111, Anthony Lay, he talked about the power of human connection. And the councillors have made a suggestion in the report for the CEO to consider connecting with Ian Urquhart from the Australian Housing Initiative to learn more about affordable housing options, which I think is very pointful for our region and a great suggestion to bring back to council, which is good to see. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor England speaking for.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to take the opportunity to recognise Councillor Hassan's work on this report. Also, Councillor Seymour and myself contributed, but I've got to say that the percentage of that spent is insignificant compared to what Councillor Hassan spent on this report as well. Again, flawless grammar and spelling, you can tell. So I want to thank Councillor Hassan for the work that she put into this report.
Thanks very much, Councillor England. Speakers? Any further speakers? Councillor Townsend speaking for.
Thank you, Worship. I too wanted to congratulate our councillors Hassan, England and Seymour. This was a very comprehensive report and certainly highlighted many areas of interest for me personally. Too many to talk about here today, but one that there was 2, but Brand Tasmania is responsible for taking a best practice approach to ensure the Tasmanian brand is strengthened locally, nationally and internationally. An example of this was the new initiative Little Tasmanians, which is a program to bring the Tasmanian story into the lives of little Tasmanians in their early weeks. At their first appointment with the Child Health and Parenting Service, every Tasmanian baby receives a library bag with a white cotton onesie, an inspiring book called Little Tasmanians, and a voucher for a library card, and information on the importance of the first 1,000 days of growing up in Tasmania. I thought that was a pretty unique, innovative idea, and branding is definitely imperative to the success of the region, and perhaps our council may consider taking this forward in the future. One other, delivering economic returns, and they gave example of signature events that are offered in regional areas that boost our economy. And Mackay was actually highlighted in there, which I thought was pretty cool, with our Elton John concert, our indoor cricket. Promoting our area for events is it's paying off, I believe. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Townsend. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Nobody against, motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.2 Capital Works and the Capital Works monthly review for January. Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. Total spend for the department is just under 50 million to the end of January. It is tracking below our budget target at this stage. January was a quiet month in terms of spend. It typically is anyway, but with the severe weather event that we had, that's caused a little bit more damage to works that were underway by both our internal teams and contractors. So that certainly slowed things a little bit. The 13 projects completed in months. In terms of safety, we had 14 safety interactions performed, which is good to see our senior people getting out amongst the crews and in the community and pushing the safety culture of the organisation. 100% of our monthly action plan activities were completed and 3 incidents in the department within a month. So good to see that's trending down a little bit. A little bit from our teams, I guess, to highlight, our portfolio management office is still rolling out the introduction of Empower, which is our project management software. All of our projects have to be transitioned over from our current systems into that program, and we're well through that process at the moment. So that's good to see they're working on that, and our design services teams are working on our program for next year and tracking through our work. But we certainly still are seeing shortages in staff and shortages in the availability of contractors to support that work. So we are working on, I guess, strategies to remedy that moving forward. And just some of the projects underway. Pioneer Valley Culvert Replacement Program is actually going quite well, albeit with that wet weather event. Pioneer North Bank Stage 2 is again well underway. And our asphalt resurfacing program, which is a contract that's recently been let, and we'll work through to the end of financial year on that program as soon as things dry up a little bit. And works has commenced on our civil works on the Northern Beaches Community Hub, J4 Road, which is really good to see, and they're progressing well on that at the moment. And also Seaforth Esplanade hasn't been held up too much with any of the weather events we've had lately, which is again really good to see. So yeah, just happy to take any questions, Your Worship.
Thanks, Director. Questions for the Director? Councillor Hassan.
Just got a question. In the design report, it just says that the design has been completed for the mountain bike trails access road. Is that just for the initial, the stage 1?
Yeah, that's just for the stage 1 shuttle access road.
Access road.
And it is a design and construct package, that one anyway, so more details will come from the contractor once that's all.
Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Bonaventura.
Thank you, Worship. Just on page 119, the graph there, I note the plant and equipment expenditure is on par with capital projects at around 44%. And it's not often it's so close, because often the Director tells me that there's the differences. Look, I'm still worried with 5 months to the end of the financial year 2023. Our ability to spend our capital works budget, I believe, is very, very slim. Just can I have your thoughts on it, Director?
The overall program?
Yes.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. Yeah, we are also tracking those, and because of the delays we've had, we are also concerned. So we will be tracking that, and in the March budget review we'll be looking at what recovery we can make and what we might have to push into the next financial year. So we'll track that and report on it in the March budget review.
Okay. One other
Councillor Bonaventura.
I note the investigating washouts on the Cattle Creek South Branch at Netherdale there. Just want to know the reasoning behind it and what you see our expected outcomes from that sort of investigation.
Director.
Yeah, that particular one is associated with a piece of private property adjacent to the road, so it's just from the recent weather event, and I'm not sure what the outcome will be, but it's certainly just that we've seen a scour bigger than expected, and that's causing issues, so we'll bring that back when we can.
Thank you.
Further questions? No further questions. Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Jones, please. Seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. Look, there was only one really out of the report that I wanted to highlight, and the Director's already made mention, but footpaths are close to my heart. So page 125, contract services. I'm really pleased to finally see the fruition of the North Bank stage 1, and it's being a half a kilometre long, 3 metre wide footpath and a boardwalk that actually connects Bridge Road to Sands Road. That was a cost of 2.9 million, and a great partnership between council, 50-50 split, and the state government. Also that stage 2 will be completed March this year, and so that's only next month, and we're pretty much there. A further 1/4 kilometre, 3 metres wide, connecting Sam's to the Goose Ponds at a cost of $1.5 million, and again a 50-50 split partnership with council and the state. All of these works go towards the health, well-being and the connectivity for our community, which I thoroughly appreciate. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. The Development Services Monthly Review Report for January 23. Director.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Pleased to present the Development Services Monthly Review Report for January. Some highlights from the month are as follows. While we are seeing a slight slowdown in this area, development application numbers remain strong. We received 2 applications for childcare centre development in January, which is good to see given the need for childcare placements in Mackay. The team is working hard to meet the industry's expectations regarding timeframes, and largely where they are not meeting KPIs, it's due to the team working with an applicant to ensure an approval can be issued. The strategic planning team are working on a business case for public realm upgrades in Finch Hatton to support the Pioneer Valley Mountain Bike project. A consultant has been engaged to prepare concept plans for potential public realm upgrades, which will be subject to community consultation in due course. A transport study is commenced for the South Mackay and Paget areas. This project will consider all modes of transport and include the development of a transport model for the study area, which can be used to analyse the impact of any future road upgrades. The team at the Botanic Gardens have been working hard in the recent heat on weed control, mowing, pruning, hedging and irrigation repairs so that our regional gardens can continue to service the community activities held there, including yoga classes and the very popular park run. The rollout of improved marine stinger warning signage is underway, with signage installed at Imeo, Bocasia and Lambert's Beach. This improved signage will continue to be rolled out across the region, with this project due to be completed in April at the latest. The Sugar Shed had another good month in January, with visitation and revenue remaining strong, notwithstanding the need to close for a number of days due to reduced staffing levels and extreme weather. And with that I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Director. Questions? Councillor May.
Just in regards to the Northern Beaches Community Hub, the detailed design of stage 1A and 1B, it just says that it's due to be completed in 2023. I was just wondering whether you had a more specific time frame around how that's progressing and when we're likely to see the detailed design.
Director.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Not at this stage. We have been working through some challenges with the consultants engaged for that, just resolving some design issues to be able to keep that project going, which has caused some minor delays. So I'm not sure exactly where the project schedule is, but I know that it's still not firmly set.
Further questions? No further questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a small one. I just wanted to make mention that on page 161, the Parks Planning team, I'm really pleased to hear that the regional SEMP brief is close to completion. I don't know if we have a date yet regarding the engagement of the consultants, because it did mention early 2023, but I certainly am keen to see that start rolling out, because we need to make sure that we're doing this holistically across our community. So, thank you, Worship.
Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
There's no one against. The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. First of our ECI reports for the month of January.
Application.
Development application. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Thought you'd jump over that one. 11.3.2, the material change of use, reconfiguration of a lot to create 80 residential lots and 2 drainage lots and 1 balanced lot. This has been briefed. Are there any questions? I think it's fairly well straightforward now. I note that there is an alternative motion. We will debate the officer's recommendation first And then if that is defeated, we will debate the alternative motion. Do you have a question?
Your worship, do we need to move a motion to pull this back off the table, or is it by doing
No,
this
this
it?
was due to come to this one.
Thank you.
No further questions? Would somebody like to move the adoption of the the officer's recommendation? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. As you mentioned, this has been laid on the table a couple of times and we have had several briefings on it. So the application that is before us today is about a material change of use and a reconfiguration of a lot to create 80 residential lots, 2 drainage lots and 1 balance lot, and it's proposed to do this in 4 stages. The site address is Lot 44 Midge Point Road at Midge Point, and there were 4 properly made submissions to the application. As we've said previously, this has been laid on the table at the 27th of April meeting at 2022, and then again on the 8th of February 2023, seeking further information which has been provided. One of the areas that has been of most debate is around the sewer, and the development proposal is serviced by individual on-site wastewater treatment system, and these are proposed to be owned by the individual property owners. The applicant has provided 2 separate on-site wastewater management reports which identifies the appropriate sizing, the design guidelines for the system, and both reports identify the proposal can approximately cater for a 4-bedroom dwelling in accordance with the standards. The on-site domestic wastewater management and the Queensland Plumbing and Wastewater Code, subject to obtaining a permit under the Plumbing and Drainage Act. I'll get to my next point. The reconfiguring of the lot, this proposal has actually been around quite some time. It was first put forward to council back in 2009. There was a refusal then, and then there was a planning court determination which approved the application, and then there's been some various changes. So this change that before us today is around the reconfiguring of the lot, and the majority of the proposed lots can achieve the minimum frontage width, and all of the lots, the 80 proposed lots, can achieve the minimum lot size of 1,000 square metres in the township zone. In contrast, only 1 in 25 of the existing adjoining lots along Bunderson Avenue achieved the minimum lot size for the township zone, which was approximately 800 square metres or less. So this proposal, even though it has been changed on a number of occasions, is still meeting our town zone requirements. Like I said earlier, there were 4 submissions made. The main areas of concern in the submissions were drainage and flooding, traffic, construction disruptions, street lighting, safety, security and privacy, sewage issues, land clearing and non-progression of development. The applicant has answered all of those concerns and that information is contained within the report, and those concerns can certainly form part of the conditions that the officers are proposing here. So in closing, I'd just like to say that I support the officer's recommendation for the approval of the application of this development permit of 80 residential lots, 2 drainage lots and 1 balance lot in 4 stages located at 44 Midge Point. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against. Councillor Bonaventura.
Thank you, Worship. Look, it's fair to say that regardless of whether you agree with the change or not, this development can achieve the strategic framework outcomes without council taking over the responsibility for the other services. I could read every point in the strategic framework on page 172 and nothing would change regardless of whether we approve this MCU or not. And I say, why would we make this move? There is nothing to be gained by approving this motion. Nothing is lost by not approving this development, as it is still able to proceed. We need to go further and break it down to understand it. We've all raised many questions over the period, and we need to look at options. So I ask councillors to vote down this recommendations, and I ask you to consider an alternate motion I have prepared and circulated to councillors. There are 271 blocks within a 5k radius of this site that don't have people living there. Why? Because the demand for this type of standalone, and I say standalone block, has been saturated. They are everywhere. And a quick internet search, I found 3 vacant lots between 800 and 1,071. Bitumen road frontage, town water for sale, asking price between 89 and 100 grand. Why so cheap? Just let me read you the sales pitch from one of those lots, straight out of the real estate ad. Southern owner wants this sold and has priced this accordingly. Original prices in this estate were 180 to 200,000, and it says, where else can you buy a block in this at this price in the popular with Sundays? So why? Well, the recent sales tell the story, and they're all there at a very cheap price. The recent sales range between 50,000 and as low as 42,000. Right. Sorry, Worship. I've missed a page somewhere. So basically, the applicant has not demonstrated that there is an overriding need for this type of development. In fact, I would argue that the existing approval for a body corporate style is of greater interest as it offers a different product. The ability to develop this in its current body corporate style offers retirees and those wanting a simpler lifestyle close to the beach the simplicity of not having to worry about maintaining their on-site waste treatment plant with no risk of overflows in prolonged wet weather, and they're still able to use their toilet if there's a time of prolonged power outages. With the original plan offering similar lots, again giving advantages of less area to maintain. The owners simply pay a body corporate fee and it's all done. This fee will most likely be lower than the cost of installing and servicing repairs needed to maintain 80 individual wastewater plants, all backing onto each other in a small area of 9.2 hectares for those 80 lots. Leaving this development as is gives this exciting body corporate style development a real chance. In contrast, the original proposal to convert to freehold lots and increase lot sizes to 1,000 square metre simply puts more of the same product on the market. Voting no will give the ability for those wanting a sea change, the ability to break away from the responsibilities of individual title and try the hassle-free body corporate development. And in 2009, councillors of the day voted against the original proposal. We're here again because of a decision in 2010 that was out of councillors' control. I'm asking you to do the same thing by voting no today.
Thanks, Councillor Bonner. You're speaking for? Are there any other speakers? Councillor England speaking for.
Your Worship. Look, this has been one of those very complex matters. I was very pleased to have it laid on the table at the last meeting. I felt as though I didn't have all of the information I needed to make a precise decision on what is a very complicated matter. Having now had access to all the information I felt I needed in this process, I'm satisfied that there's no reasonable grounds to refuse the application. I believe doing so would just lead us back into a planning court where they would win. That's technically irrelevant based on the fact that I personally am satisfied that there's no reasonable grounds to refuse the application.
Thank you very much, Councillor England. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bella, speaking against.
I've been made aware that this was brought in court by council and developer a number of years ago. With the developer winning that case and putting forward a proposal for a sewage treatment plant, a common sewage treatment plant. Now one would assume that he put forward the best option, and the court actually agreed. Now that possibility still remains. My question is, and we as councillors must think about it, why now is he going for what is at best second best and possibly worse? There are any number of technical reasons when you read into how those individual treatment plants on each block work. When they're clustered like they are, it relies on everyone doing the right thing. There are any number of other reasons, but I would query the realism in expecting, 80-something people to do the right thing with their sewage plan. Now, when we refer to the planning scheme, and I know our planning scheme allows it, our planning scheme is a wonderful document, but we've actually had staff on the ground reporting to us at an early briefing saying that similar systems are having problems with their function. And ultimately, when those problems become great, it will be up to council to fix things. Possibly putting a sewage treatment plant at cost to our ratepayers. Now, while the planning scheme, I believe, on the whole is good, it is theoretical, and I always believe that no matter how nice the car is in the showroom, it's how it performs when the wheels hit the road in whatever form that road is. And in this case, I think the performance will not be optimal. I remember a former councillor, a deputy mayor actually, a number of times referring to the planning scheme as a living document. I would suggest that we get the defibrillator out, give our planning scheme a bit of a hit, bring it back to life, and change it according to pragmatism and practicality. That is the reason, whether we've got to fight this in court or not, to me it's a matter of doing the right thing. And always remember, when things come unstuck, the first thing people do is blame council. So when areas flood and things like that. So for me, as long as I believe we've done the right thing, I can rest easy. I believe that this is not the best option for that area. I also believe that the ratepayers of this region will end up picking up the tab bid in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So I'm looking to the future, and for that reason, I am voting against this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Bella. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Green speaking. Thank you.
Yes, so reiterating what Councillor Englert said, we have had the opportunity to revisit this a number of times and gather the information that we need to make an adequate decision, I believe. So, and I agree, the information that's has come to us, to me, tells me that there are really no grounds to refuse this application. A couple of points, particularly to this, is that 2 separate reports have been made about on-site wastewater management plans and the ability of these lots to support that. And as to Councillor Bella's point that our planning scheme is a living document, but in regards to this application, this is where we're at. This is the point in time that we're making this decision based on the planning scheme as it is. If we don't believe that it's practical or pragmatic enough, then yes, we do need to look at changing our planning scheme to tell our story more thoroughly. But that's in the future. This is today, and we're making it on the planning scheme as it is today. And for those reasons, I do support this application.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Are there other speakers?
If I may, Your Worship, just to contra one point, please.
Are you speaking
Against.
Against? You've probably got a minute and a half.
I don't even need a minute and a half, Your Worship. Look, if I can just cover, because both Councillor May and Councillor Green mentioned that there have been 2 reports saying that each site can accommodate a 4-bedroom dwelling and still have ample area. It does not state in that does not include shed cover that may cover quite a large percentage. Doesn't include, in my opinion, concrete driveways and paths that would lead to a shed out the back, which will also take up more area. So I believe the risk is there. There's a high risk there of it not being able to meet that within all those sites. So for that reason, I'd just like to remind councillors that's another important point.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bonventura. Are there other speakers? Councillor Jones, are you speaking against? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. A very, very complex matter before us, and we do have to weigh up the for and against and the practicalities. I guess for me, the planning court said they've got a development application they can go ahead and develop, but it must have a water treatment plant in it. Now here we are trying to change the planning court's decision. And I've been around long enough to understand applications sometimes that come before us have hairs on them, and this is certainly one of them for me. If this goes terribly wrong down the track, as Councillor Bella has stated, future councils and ratepayers of Mackay will have to pick up the tab, and for those reasons I'll be voting against.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor May, would you like to sum up?
Thank you very much, Worship. Just a couple of points I'd like to make in regards to the debate that has occurred today, and just let me get my little notes here. In regards to need is not part of the consideration for today's application that is before us. The need debate happened back in 2009, I can tell you, because I was there. So the need part of this application has no relevance. The court has ruled that it can be substantiated in the Midge Point area. We actually see with this change in this application a reduction of lots, so from 103 down to 80 lots. So I think that in itself is a better outcome. It is not up to the ratepayers of the region to fix any sewage problems which may come from on-site sewage treatment plants that are owned by a private individual. That will be a compliance matter for this council with the individual property owner, so there should be no cost to this council into the future. And as for sewering our beach communities, I'm sure there is lots of beach communities that would love to be considered for sewerage. And we know as a council we have looked into this over a period of time, and it is not something that we're undertaking at this point in time. So I think the application should stand on its own merits, that the applicant has demonstrated that the wastewater treatment can be accommodated within the 1,000 square metre lots. The point around the house and the driveway and the sheds is all part of that application approval when the individual buys that lot and goes to build that dwelling, making sure they comply with those regulations.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. So councillors, to refuse the officer's recommendation, we have to have very good grounds, and I think there are a number of councillors who've actually identified the fact there are no grounds that would stand up in court for a refusal of the officer's recommendation in this instance. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against?
Councillor Bella?
Councillor Bauer. So there's 4 against and the ballots in favour. The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to engineering and commercial infrastructure reports for today. ECI and its drainage and transport.
Thank you. Just touching on safety, so 6 safety incidents and no LTIs for the period. In January, obviously a large focus around disaster recovery around our monsoon event. We had previously highlighted the wonderful response from our staff in relation to that. We continue to work with QRA, but as we're finding as we get out and do more inspections, actually our road network has held up extremely well. So as we go forward, we're having less and less issues that we can obviously make a claim against. So that's good recognition of the previous work done in relation to especially our unsealed road, where we've been obviously applying all gravel over an extended period of time. Asset management team continues to look for resources to obviously build some momentum, so hopefully we're pursuing some of those key roles. The budget at the moment is tracking below where we should be, but some of that is around some electricity costs and some accruals that need to happen in works for Queensland. So we think it's actually a lot closer to the actual year-to-date budget. And just highlighting the customer service results for November and December again, so 4.5 stars for civil operation, which is an outstanding performance across that period when we normally get rain and figures coming through.
Thanks, Director. Questions from the Director? I don't believe it. Okay, so if there's no questions, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Yeah, Councillor Hassan moves. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor Hassan.
I'll give you a break. Put my hands down.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to echo the Director's recognition of no lost time injuries for the month. There were several minor incidents which obviously just highlight the importance of our focus on safety and remind our staff that we want all of our staff and contractors to go home safely to their families at the end of their workday. Just reminding the community that obviously, as the Director's mentioned, there's been a real focus due to the recent heavy rainfall where work's fallen behind because the focus has been on getting our roads repaired. So there was multiple unsealed rural roads that were inaccessible to residents during and following the rain event up at the Pioneer Valley for the Youngbilla community, and our teams were prioritised to those areas, obviously, to provide and clear that access. So just asking everybody to be a little bit patient, be careful on the roads because there is obviously still issues, and just while those crews work to get everything back on track. The asset management program is continuing to deliver project work and drive down the outstanding work in progress, donated assets and work order backlogs. However, the ongoing vacancies in that area cause that progress to be slowed down. So this is a huge body of work for council, and it's a massive job for staff, particularly with those vacancies. And finally, again, echoing the director to highlight the really positive feedback. This team's feedback has been just absolutely outstanding related to the work that they're doing. And again, they're out there in all sorts of weather and awful situations having to do some work. So great work to the team on the transport and drainage crews. Really, again, these responses show that their commitment to prompt, efficient service delivery is paying off, and pass on thanks to all of the team and all the crews.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Hassan. Speaker against? Any other speakers? No other speakers? We'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
There's nobody against. The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Our second ECI report for the month is waste services.
Thank you again, Your Worship. Again, 5 safety incidents for contractor related. Tonnages for Hogan Pocket are up for the month, so we're still seeing that variability month to month. Green waste was up from the previous month, but not unexpected given our rainfall we received. Just a reminder about dump vouchers, so the current ones are still available through to the end of March. Currently at 22% redemption rate, which is not too bad for this time of the year with 1 month to go. 802 bin requests for the month, so you will see there's a significant increase in bin replacements. That tended to correspond to the same period last year, so we're not really sure of the exact reason. We think it's just people home over the Christmas period and taking time to get their bins replaced. And just a quick update on a couple of major strategic documents being worked on at present. So the regional waste plan is due to receive a draft at the end of this month. So we should be seeing that coming back under discussion with council. And then our own waste strategy, we expect to have a draft back in about April to be able to come back and talk more to council.
Please, do we take questions? Councillor May.
Just in regards to the consultant's report on the closed landfills, council going to have a briefing on that at any time in the future?
Director, I think we could. Director?
Through your worship, yeah, certainly, we need to certainly come back, so there is a significant liability. It's just there is still doing some environmental reports around some of that information, so you're certainly happy to bring that back and understand what that liability risk is and what the forward plan looks like, especially in terms of the LTFF.
Thank you.
We'll get that on the agenda. CEO's nodding, so that's okay. Further questions? Any further questions? No further questions. Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Hassan, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Worship. Just following on from the Director's comments, I wanted to acknowledge the huge workload of our staff who work internally to ensure that our waste services and resource recovery run smoothly. So there's all the people out there on the ground, but there's also a huge team working behind the scenes. So they're currently working on the closed landfill project, we mentioned, which is a review of council's closed landfills to determine the extent of work and monitoring that council's required to undertake to minimise the impact of those on the environment because of those legacy landfills. As the Director mentioned, staff are also developing our own internal waste management resource recovery strategy, which is a huge body of work, and that demonstrates the key focus areas for waste management within the Mackay region. And they're also working to finalise and implement those regional waste management plans. So it's a massive body of work that's being undertaken by staff, so just wanted to highlight that for them. The total bin lifts of this month, 312,192 by the contractors across the region, and that included 46 new services, which again is a great indicator of that continued growth across the region. Out of that total, only 86 bins were missed for the month, which is slightly up on previous months, but still an outstanding result. And again, commending staff and contractors for their focus on safety. There were no lost time injuries for the month, so great reflection of their proactive safety culture within the waste services business.
Thanks very much, Councillor Hassan. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura speaking for.
Yes, Your Worship. Just 2 points. One, it's good to see the continued waste going to Hogan's Pocket staying below the 8,000 tonne mark. Yes, it's up there. but compared to what it used to be a few years ago, that's an excellent result, and I thank people for finding alternate ways of treating that waste. The other one I'd also like to mention is just to put a big thank you into the staff from the Waste Department for Lawmac, which happened last week. It was a well-run event. There were quite a few excellent speakers. I enjoyed my time there on the Thursday immensely, so it was very, very good and very rewarding. It's good to see so many people from, as far as I think Billawheeler right through to the tip of Cape York there, and we even had our first 2 people from Papua New Guinea, so it was very, very good, and they certainly got a lot out of it, so thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bonaventura. Are there any other speakers? I'd like to add my congratulations to Councillor Hassan for being part of bringing that Lawmac to Mackay, and I agree it was a fantastic event. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
None against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. And water wraps up the ECR reports.
Thank you, Your Worship, and there has been lots of water around here. No actually incidents reported for water and sewage for the month of January, which was a great outcome. We had lots of rain, so obviously we know that when we see lots of rain, the consumption falls down, so that was good for the month. 491 work requests for the month obviously being processed, so still staff being busy out there doing the right things. We issued 978 leak notifications for My H2O members and 5,856 leak notifications if you are on My H2O. So those numbers simply tell you that you should be on My H2O if you have a leak and want to get notified very quickly. There were a couple of incidents of reference. We did have an exceedance in our total suspended solids for a discharge to the lagoon from a backwash at Nebo Road, and we did have a slight exceedance in relation to thermotolerant levels for our discharge into our recycled water storage at Bakers Creek. And again, just highlighting the customer service results for Water Networks, where they again achieved $4.5 for that November period, which was outstanding.
Questions? Any questions? No questions for the Director? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Hassan, thank you very much. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Worship. Pleased with me today. Just again, the water services team always just consistently perform well in the area of safety, and to have an entire month with no lost time injuries and no incidents, outstanding results. And also their customer service again across the team, just really fantastic service to the community. So January saw an increase of 17% on the previous month for plumbing applications, with 29 applications submitted and an approval turnaround time of just 1 day, so really well within those limits. The volume of applications for January is on par with the previous year. Just to reiterate, plumbing applications are required for all new plumbing installations as well as any modifications.
Councillor Bella, you might have something.
There he's got it.
Thank you.
As well as any modifications to existing plumbing, and they're a great indicator of that building activity again that's happening within the region. Just wanted to congratulate the team on their results related to fulfilling their work orders, with 588 completed within the reporting period, which included 128 water meter replacements or new installations. And again, this team were really busy throughout the month, with 10 trade waste approvals issued, 14 audits undertaken, and as the Director said, 5,856 potential leak notifications sent to ratepayers just via the My H2O app. So again, a really busy month, consistently positive feedback received from our customers, and again, get on the My H2O because the difference between the notifications, if you are or are not on that, are significant.
Thanks, Councillor Hassan. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Motion's carried unanimously. The Org Services Monthly Review for January. Director.
Thank you, Worship. So we've had a significant focus on leadership training and development for our senior leaders across the organisation for some time now. Now, this is designed to enhance our collective effectiveness as a leadership team, and the power in this grows when we start to see a majority of our leaders having completed the training. So it's really pleasing to be able to advise that we currently have 160 leaders undertaking these leadership programs at present across our organisation, including a high number of coordinators as well as managers. So this is building common language and tools and increases accountability around our leadership behaviours. So also supporting our people, we have an ongoing focus on safety and wellbeing. We remain vigilant about our people's physical safety and have seen no LTIs this year within our department. People and Culture team are currently supporting the Health and Wellbeing Committee, which is currently planning our next Health and Wellbeing Staff Expo. And our plant procurement team have also introduced a new mental health conversation starter high-vis shirt, which is proving very popular with staff. Our property services team have been busy during January, handling 66 leasing matters involving a variety of local organisations and businesses providing services to the community. Local businesses were further supported by Council during January through our procurement processes, with total local spend of 9.6 million for the month, which is a great result. The customer service team also took over 7,000 calls within January and achieved a customer satisfaction rating of 96%. I'd also like to recognise and thank our financial and IT teams for the work that they've done supporting our organisation internally through the month of January. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Director. Questions for the Director? Where have you got off lightly with that one? Angel, thank you very much. If there's no questions, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. 4 items to mention for me out of Org Services today. Certainly agree with the Director around the $9.6 million as a local spend. That was really great and a good start to the year for supporting our local businesses. I also note on page 263 that Snap, Send, Solve has been climbing and the community find this much easier to use than council's actual systems. What are we going to do to investigate further how we can be more efficient in changing our software to include this? But at least, you know, the stats are there. Out of the last 5 months, Snap, Send, Solve requests have exceeded council requests. So I think the community are telling us something, Your Worship, and I think we need to pay a little bit more closer attention to this. I also want to agree with the Director on page 266, the IT support team are once again creating great results for our staff, and the KPI metrics prove that, so a shout out to that team. But I think the one thing that was really, really interesting out of this report was on page 274. I was really interested to read about the Australian Workplace Equity Index and that this being a national benchmark for the LGBTQI plus workplace inclusion. Last year I attended with a couple of other councillors the Mackay Pride LGBTQI plus discussion panel, and it was an event that had outcomes around workplace leadership being active and that businesses need to be more proactive, supporting publicly the allyship as a concept across Mackay. What was concerning at that forum was that there was very little or to no businesses that were being proactive in this space in actually employing people. So there was a question from the floor at the forum seeking attendees, asking them, do you think that there are any businesses or organisations around Mackay that would willingly accept you if you were LGBTQI in any way? And the answer was no, which was very sad. This discussion was held around similarities, comparing it to a rap, that quite often our Indigenous people feel that a piece of paper on the wall is all that they get. But I would be interested to know that if our council in the future is going to be changing any policies, or policies are going to be coming before us, you know, so that we can ensure that the inclusion within our workplace can be that one of community connectedness in this space. And I would also like to be happy to meet with staff to pass on any useful information that can be used as evidence to go towards a submission, which is what's in the agenda. The staff are filling out at the moment for the AWEI benchmark report, and I know that it's being submitted in March, so I'm happy to meet with staff if that's required, Your Worship. So, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Townsend speaking for.
Thank you, Your Worship. Short and sweet. I just want to carry on from the Directors on the customer services team.
who again have delivered outstanding results in the call centre and achieved high levels of customer satisfaction results for January. Our team dealt with 7,041 calls, an average of 352 calls per day, with the average waiting time for our customers 2 minutes and 56 seconds. They also received a total of 5,453 emails, which was an increase of 234 from the same period last year. Our concierge service interacted with 354 customers and resolved 190 of these inquiries at first point of contact. The consistency of this team to deliver outstanding customer service appears to be effortless. However, when you read the statistics of calls and emails they direct every day, they certainly deserve some recognition. So I'd ask the Director to pass on our congratulations to the team leader and each member of the team and ensure them that their work is certainly acknowledged and appreciated.
Thanks, Councillor Townsend. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. The strategic financial report for January 23. And I see, I guess the Director's talking to this one. Director.
Thank you, Worship. While the operating result for January shows a 7.5 million favourable variance, this was driven by a single large supplementary rate that was levied in November last year. Subsequent to the close of the January reporting period, we revised that and the net result of that revision will see our operating result back to a marginal surplus. We continue to note the inflation rate as an area of concern, with the current rate being 7.8% for Australia, which obviously has a direct impact on Council's expenditure, and we'll continue to monitor that closely. Happy to take any questions.
Questions for the Director? No questions. Then we'd like to move the adoption then of the financial report. Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Jones. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. A good financial report, strategic financial report. We do note the areas of concern haven't changed much. Pardon me, over the last few months we're still keeping an eye on COVID. We are still working through our asset data cleansing process. The council project expenditure is under the microscope, as we've seen mainly a lot in our capital delivery program, where the expenses are coming in far greater than what the budgets had been anticipated. The council expenditure operationally, the challenge around employment and keeping people employed as well as finding people to fill vacancies is an ongoing challenge, and of course the really difficult thing which we have absolutely no control over is the inflation rate. So that impacts greatly on our ability to operate within our existing budget. I think we are in a strong financial position. We've seen a fairly decent reduction of debt within the last 12 months, and that continues to happen. Our rate arrears is monitored very carefully and closely, and we are probably one of the leading councils in our category of councils in managing our rate arrears. So I think overall the financial performance is strong.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. Speaker against. Any other speakers? Councillor Jones speaking for.
Yeah, just briefly, there was a fair bit I was going to say, but Councillor May's already said most of it, but I just really wanted to probably just say a great effort from our CEO, directors and down to our staff to make sure that we run a tight ship and to make sure that we stay on top of things. You know, being one of the 6 financially sound councils in Queensland, I really, really would hate to think what it would look like for our community if we were not financially sound.
Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. It's slightly more than 6, I think. But
we're in the top echelon. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Motion's carried. Thank you. There's no petitions today, no tenders today, no notified motions. We have 2 members of the public registered to speak in public participation. Miss Marriage.
Thank you. Well, you all missed an amazing morning at Blue Water Quay on Saturday, with guest speakers Phil Camp, Senator Matt Canavan, Senator Malcolm Roberts, Stephen Andrew, the local member for Morani, Mandy Tennant and Dave from No Pumped Hydro Action Group, and Kim Robertson from the Australia Project. The people who attended this rally were made aware of the many issues that are causing anxiety and torment to the residents of Netherdale, Youngalla and Dalrymple Heights. Indeed, to many residents of the whole Pioneer Valley, not to mention people who have just great concerns for the effects of this project on the unique flora and fauna of the whole area and the safety aspect of such, as I've mentioned before. From the outset, when the Queensland Government announced the proposed pumped hydro project to an unsuspecting public, until now, the manner in which those affected have been treated by government is reprehensible. People have been told their properties will be resumed, even though no assessment studies have begun, and indeed, when they are begun, that will take 18 months to complete. The value of the properties have been drastically reduced, and bank loans are no longer available. The future looks very bleak for these people. Can you understand these people are very upset that their elected representatives in Mackay Regional Council, being the Mayor and the councillors, as well as local, state and federal members of Parliament, are nowhere to be seen? Not only the residents affected, but many other attendees at our rally on Saturday were asking where you all were. We have no answers because none of you wish to address our concerns. Are you concerned, or are you part of the underhanded manner in which this whole debacle has been rolled out? Your focus as our elected representative seems to be on mountain bike trails, erecting 5G towers all over the countryside, and preparing us for 15-minute cities, to name a few. Definitely not on issues like mowing and maintenance of our city surrounds, or those unsightly purple scooters that lay on footpaths, in gutters, on boat ramps in River Street. I see them, I don't know why your people don't see them. And on abandoned shopping trolleys everywhere. People are liable for those. So this isn't attended to, and absolutely not on such an important issue like a proposed pumped hydro project that will wipe out a whole community. I'm led to believe that this public participation period is not interactive, and therefore no response will be made to my concerns or questions during this time. However, I'm of the understanding that if Council thought my concerns required follow-up, I would be contacted for a reply from Council. This has not happened, so I can only assume my questions and concerns are not important to Council. Am I addressing my concerns to the correct people here at this public participation forum? Or should I address my concerns to the CEO? If not, who? I am a ratepayer and I vote. I would like some sort of contact. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms Marriage. We'll ask the CEO to establish contact with you.
That would be appreciated, because there are some issues that a lot of people are suffering from.
We'll ask the CEO to establish that contact.
My address is in your
Yes,
hands.
we've got
Thank
that.
you.
Ms McDonald.
Good morning, everyone. The flag display has been disturbing me. I looked into it further and realised that the screenshot the Mayor sent me had the heading cropped off, which clearly states that to be displayed like that, the flags must be on staffs. So let's, in council chambers, have them displayed according to flag etiquette, please. Just a few different comments today. Westminster, some of us have put in many days, that it would amount to weeks of effort, more than one person, to help these people at Westminster Retirement Lodge, and we finally have them on meals, receiving Meals on Wheels. I'm just confused as to why our Mayor ignored the plight of these residents, when we as everyday people on the street have been able to achieve having them fed 3 times a day. Through the generosity of the Lions Club, a defibrillator is being installed. Thankfully, the community has rallied and offered them the support they so desperately needed. It's so sad that the people we elected to represent us, and from whom the Mayor, according to the paper, receives $192,000 per year, have done zero for these people whom they swore to serve and whose best interests they declared they would have at heart. I find it tragic. Smart cities. At the end of last year, I challenged all of you to research this agenda over the Christmas break and come back with an understanding of how horrifying this plan is to every person living in Mackay, including you. So it was interesting to hear the comment, Northern Beaches Hub. That's a smart cities term. And this is being set up for our 15-minute cities. You've only got to look it up. City hubs, local government. It's all there for you to read for yourselves. So the International Smart City Expo is in Sydney on the 14th and 15th of March. Is our Mayor or CEO going to this? Are other councils attending it? It's certainly not been advertised on the Mackay Regional Council website. Is that because Mackay Regional Council is still pretending we're not a smart city? We've actually seen the Mayor on video saying that Mackay is not a smart city and has nothing to do with the smart city agenda. And yet last year I produced copious amounts of irrefutable evidence that this again is not true. It's a lie being told to the people. And I look at the people here. You've been elected by the people in your community. The people in your community need you. And I would put out to you a call to stand up for what you've been voted in to do and have the heart, have the courage. We've had a lot of people who have lost jobs and all sorts of things for standing up for their convictions in the last couple of years. Learn what's going on.
Thanks, Ms McDonald.
Learn what's going on and
Thank you,
stand
Ms.
up for the
McDonald.
people you said you would look after.
Thank you. All right. No further public participation. Late business. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. Look, I just wanted to recognise Councillor Englert for his 20 years service as a volunteer to SES. That was marked last week. So as we know, SES do a lot of things in our community, often thankless tasks. They leave their own families to help out with events. And given the shortage of volunteers all around our region, 20 years of volunteerism is an outstanding contribution to our community. And I do wish him another 20 years of volunteerism, if that's what he chooses to do. But certainly people like him in the SES provide a valuable service to us all.
Thanks, Councillor Mann. Further late business? Sorry?
I haven't registered.
Oh, right, okay, so,
I can present one.
that, all right.
Thank you. Sorry. Reverend Dr. Julie Pitt lost her protocol, so I'm reading this on her behalf. So this is a community appeal for Mackay residents to consider taking on board to address the current housing crisis. So St Paul's Uniting Church, in response to the housing emergency and arising from the Minister's Christmas message and in preparation for the forthcoming housing summit, supports all efforts of various tiers of government to address the current housing crisis, and in particular calls on the Mackay Regional Council to coordinate a community campaign to encourage the Mackay region residents with a spare room to consider taking in a boarder. The extent of the housing crisis is obviously very well documented, and it's now affecting not only those disadvantaged people who generally seek assistance from churches and their agencies and other government and non-government community service groups, but everyday people, everyday church members, including ordinary mums and dads. The housing emergency can't wait for long-term solutions alone. So to alleviate the crisis in the short term, the churches are considering, their council may consider appealing to the people of the Mackay region to find from within their own resources short-term solutions to address the crisis. And the call is to encourage the people themselves to respond now to that housing emergency.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Hassan. Further late business? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. I can actually just add something further. Last night was a little bit exciting for me. I've been working with an informal group in Mackay who have an interest in being able to provide some short-term accommodation for the homeless people in the region. The little group is called Safe Sleep Mackay, and as of last night they've actually launched their Facebook page. And Reverend Julie will remember the Orange Sky van that was brought to the region by the community, paid for by the community. This is another similar opportunity. So the page was launched last night, and there is going to be a huge fundraising opportunity for the community to be able to also donate towards it. This bus will cost, that they want to achieve the sleep bus, it'll cost $100,000. So this little committee are currently looking for funding left, right and centre to be able to achieve this, and they feel very confident that they'll get that to get the first one, but they also plan on getting a second one. It will sleep 10 people a night, so if they end up with 2, that's 20 people, and certainly will help with the homeless people within our community that are struggling. So it won't do everybody, but it will certainly alleviate. And when you're out in the rough, sleeping rough, it really does take its toll on your body. That will just give them an opportunity to have a little break, so from the roughness outside.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Further late business? Councillor Green.
Thank you very much. Regional Development Australia, the Greater Whitsunday branch, have had the foresight to create a 6-month Women in Leadership program. This was funded by the Local Buying Foundation, and last Thursday night we saw the graduation of the first tranche of this, and I've been one of the participants of this program out of 25 other women across the Isaac, Whitsunday and Mackay regions, and it's been a phenomenal program that provides both masterclasses and workshops with Shift and Minds Aligned, and more importantly with mentorship, and our Deputy Mayor was one of those mentors. So 25 mentees and 25 mentors who have deep leadership experience from across our region, and all agreed it was a huge success. Yourself, Mayor, spoke at the graduation and pointed out that we need these programs because there still is a lack of equality in roles in leadership for women, such as women only represent 19.4% of CEOs in Australia, 32.5% of key management positions, 33% of board members and 18% of board chairs. So we still do need to do some work in this space, and RDA recognised that, and this program is to fill that gap and build a network of resilient and visionary leaders across our region. There is hopes that this, the first pilot program will be extended, and also that further programs will be offered into future years for more leaders in our region. It was extraordinary. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Further late business? No further late business? We do have some confidential reports to consider, and there's at least one or two questions that I think we should be in confidential to try and address. So if we, somebody like to move that we close the meeting to Okay. Councillor May moves we close the meeting to the public, seconded by Councillor Jones. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Councillor Bella.
Aye.
Thank you. Right, that's unanimous. So we're now in open council. Back online. Thank you, councillors. 17.1, under our confidential reports, the Legal Services Monthly Report for January. Somebody like to move? Councillor Townsend moves. Councillor Bonaventura seconds. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. 17.2, the approved concessions under the Facilitating Development of Mackay Region Policy for January 2023. Somebody like to move? Councillor Mann moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. 17.3, the draft minutes of the Invest Mackay Events and Conference Attraction Program Advisory Committee meeting of the 30th of February 2023. Somebody like to move? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. 17.4, the approved sponsorship under the Invest Mackay Events and Conference Attraction Program for January 2023. Somebody like to move? Councillor Englert moves, Councillor Green seconds. Those in favour? Councillor Bella?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. There being no further business for this council meeting, thank you councillors, thank you CEO and directors. Declare the meeting closed.